Morning.
Hey, Patty.
Oh, hi, Joe and Nina. Good morning. Hey, Barbara.
Hi, Patty.
So we have people here from all over, India and Mexico and
Wow.
East Coast, West Coast of the United States. I'm not sure where. Damascene, are you in here from Africa, I think? We'll just give one more minute. In Mexico, we always start a little bit later.
Hello.
Hi, is this Jean?
Yeah, so thank you for coming me. I am from Rwanda in Africa.
Ah, I thought so. Welcome.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
Okay, Anna, I saw your message. That sounds good. We will probably, we start with video to greet everyone, but we will probably turn our videos off at, fairly soon, because a lot of what we're going to do is going to be audio listening, and sometimes the visual distracts. So, and just to make sure that we all have a good connection. But I just wanted to greet everyone as you come in.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Vanessa. Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Selma. Hi, Stuti. Okay, so before we get started, I would like to suggest to everyone, if you don't already have it nearby, because to have a journal, piece of paper, pen, something like that to write on. Okay, and so just take a minute to go get that if you don't have it nearby. And then also, I would recommend, if you do have headphones or earbuds, to use those, because we're going to later on, we're going to do a guided meditation, and you want to have headphones or earbuds to do that. So be in a very quiet place, be in a place where you won't be disturbed. Welcome, Norma. Welcome, Zainab. Welcome, Noble. Okay, great. Thank you. So there are some new people here, and some people who have been in the last two sessions. So this workshop started in December with the Pop Festival, and I did a 90-minute workshop, and we just decided to keep going. So we do these once a month now. And so in order to bring people who are just joining today into the conversation, I will, when we get going, I will start with a brief review of some of the practices and things that we discussed in the first two workshops, and then we'll move on. Okay. And, to be honest with you, that review, I'm, reviewing those things, 35, 40 years later. Those are basic practices that we can always use a refresher on. Okay, so Philo, I'm gonna need to be able to share the screen.
Patricia will be able to make you a co-host.
Okay. Drisha. Okay, Drisha, you're running the show. Thanks. Thanks, Drisha. Okay, so basically, I use these two images to start because one image is in the top left is the image of our cells. It's a image of biology, of our the microcosm of who we are, and the image in the top right is an image from the Hubble NASA spacecraft of the Seven Sisters, or Pleiades, the star constellation. And you know, I use these two images consciously because there is in us this polarity of spaciousness that is deep within us and is connected to the world. So I just wanted to point this out, that this is kind of the theme that I'm inviting us all into, is to open up to more than what we think we are in this body, in this personality, in the thoughts and the feelings that we carry around every day. That there is more to who we are, and that's the exploration. So I want to welcome everyone from all over the world to this workshop today. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all for your attention. As you know, I want to speak briefly about the attention economy. As you know, we are in a world where online our attention is very valuable because there's so much information and disinformation, and we're on social networks and in news and looking at news media and things like that. And there is a jockeying for our attention, and really AI algorithms that are designed to trap and to manipulate our attention. So in a world where there is so much information and so much disinformation and so much demand for our attention becomes the scarce commodity in that economy, and it's valuable. And it is the most valuable thing that you can offer anyone, is your attention. And I'm inviting us all to offer that to ourselves. And so I'm very grateful for your attention today. And so one of the things that we talked about in our first session was our intention. And before we get started today, I want to honor my dear friend, Renny Davis. I just found out he died. Renny, like many of you, it was a youth activist. He organized back in the 60s some of the largest anti-war demonstrations and civil rights demonstrations in Washington, D.C., and famously in Chicago. He was one of the Chicago Seven. There was just a movie this year about him, the trial of the Chicago Seven, about all of them. And but Renny was my dear friend. I met him 10 years ago, and he became not just a friend, he became a mentor, and we collaborated. And he was just a beautiful, beautiful being who was completely dedicated to humanity, both individuals, any individual he met, he just regarded with absolute respect, and humanity itself. So he is one of the people that those of you who are, you know, part of the pop movement, and I'm so proud of all the work that you're doing in the world and your commitment. It's on the shoulders of people like Renny that you stand. And I just think it's so appropriate today that we're together, because Renny really dedicated the last half of his life to awakening individually and all of humanity. And so let's start our session with a minute of silence. And I'm going to invite you all to close your eyes. And just take a deep breath from your belly. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths. And then just rest your attention in your heart. And let's hold a minute of silence, honoring Renny and his life. Thank you. So whenever I start meetings, and even if there's Zoom meetings or in-person meetings or whatever, my Future Capital leadership team, whatever group I'm with, we usually start with a minute of silence. And the reason for that is because, you know, we're so distracted by all the things in the world that we're involved in. And it's a way to honor not just ourselves and our attention and giving our attention to that moment, that meeting, the reason we're together, but giving our attention, our full attention to the other people that we're meeting with. And a lot of the mind-body practices that we've been discussing are intrapersonal, meaning they're engaging in our personal awareness. But then when we are out in the world, they become interpersonal. So as we've discussed, becoming aware of our own attention, bringing our awareness back inside ourselves, doing the deep breathing, we are able to intervene in the mind-body conversation that's going on all the time, subconsciously, and then consciously intervene and bring presence and relaxation and openness to the moment. So one simple way that you can do that in your lives, in opportunities, is to just stop for a minute and just invite those that you're with to be in silence. And that's something that you can explore, you know, over the next couple of weeks, and let me know how that goes. See if it changes things. So one of the first things we talked about last December, and one of the things that I think is one of the most important things for all of us to remember, is to understand and recognize, what is my intention? our intention actually gives us the context for our attention. So it's really important. And your intention can be different at different times. So there may be an intention for this life, and and many of you, because we're part of POP, you have an intention about creating a world that works for all, that is free from the extractive and exploitive practices that we see right now. But I'm inviting you to actually use that as a living question. And so right now, before we get started, I'm going to ask you, why are you here? And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And write down whatever shows up for you. Just write it down. Don't put a lot of thought into it, but just write down, why are you here? And it can be, your purpose for being, for living, what you see as your purpose for living. It could be for this moment, for this workshop, for this day. It doesn't matter. What matters is asking the question and bringing awareness into your intention for this time right now. Why are you here? And I'm showing this photo of where I live. This is a few steps away from my house, this picture. And this quote, because this is my intention, and this is why I'm spending the time here with you. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence becomes an act of rebellion. So your activism in the world starts from within. And your exploration in the looking into the unknown of who you really are is probably the most profound act of rebellion that you can make, because the world starts telling us who we are from the time we're born. Our parents, our teachers, our friends, culture, society, everyone tells us who we are. So you have your intention written down? Good. So what we'll do over the next 90 minutes is we're going to review some of the mind-body practices and things that we talked about in the first two sessions to bring everyone else up to speed. I'm going to invite those of you who've already been working with this material to provide any feedback, describe your experiences, any questions. We'll have a moment, we'll have a little bit of time for that. And then the most of the time I'd like to spend on introducing a new aspect of the mind body, which are our brain waves. And we're going to do a guided meditation to explore. So, okay, so just to review a little bit, when we talk about the mind-body conversation, I just want to review a little bit about this body that we all have inherited, this human operating system. I referenced a couple of books back in the beginning, Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, and Dr. Rick Hansen, The Buddha's Brain. Both really good, accessible books that help really break down and understand this mind-body conversation that's going on all the time that we're not conscious of most of the time. It's just happening. So just to review that a little bit, we have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems. And we're literally connected in every dimension. We're connected molecularly, energetically, socioeconomically. We're connected in our communities. We're all here on this call together from continents all over the world. So as I was showing you those original images, we share a biology. This pandemic has shown us how profoundly connected we are in our biology, right? And you know, if you've seen any of the images from spacecraft from outer space and looking at the Earth, you know, what all the astronauts say when they land after coming in from space, they're not thinking they landed on, you know, on a particular nation's, you know, location. They landed on Earth. They landed on this planet that we all share. So one of the things that is true about our biology is that we're constantly changing. It's never at rest. There is information coming in, we're responding to that information, we're reacting to it. It's a dynamic system. And so transformation is actually inherent in our very nature. Yet, somehow we're wired to constantly seek stasis. You know, there's a wiring to try to keep everything the same or under control. So that's an inherent fallacy in our wiring, which is something to just note and be aware of. Dynamic equilibrium is really what is the truth of how we are and how we exist and how the world is. We're all in relationship with each other. Our systems are all communicating constantly with the world. So we scan for threat, and which means we're constantly judging and comparing. And that has kind of created this chronic sympathetic response, cortisol-driven response of experiencing a threat, which raises those hormones, and we go into a fight or flight mode. And what's happened in the world with all the pressure and stress, and you know, the news, and you know, all of the media and things like that, it's very easy to stimulate our attention in the fear mode because we're constantly seeking, you know, to protect ourselves. And then to compound that, our negativity bias requires 5 times the positive experiences to counteract one negative one. So being aware of these facts about our biology is really important. The sympathetic, when we get triggered, when we get stressed, when something happens like that, our hormones shoot up and we're ready to fight or flight. The parasympathetic system rules our ability to digest, to relax. The immune system can start recovering, do cell repair. The parasympathetic generates a whole different set of hormones, you know, endorphins and other kinds of hormones that make us relaxed and more open. So one of the first things that we're doing when we take a deep breath from our belly, we're stimulating the vagus nerve. That sends a signal to start to release some of those parasympathetic hormones to go into relaxation. So your breathing practice is actually the most powerful thing you can do. And it's with you all the time. But breathing consciously, breathing from your belly, doing those deep breaths, bringing it all the way up, and then doing a elongated exhale. That stimulates your parasympathetic system and your body starts to go into relaxation. So one of the most powerful things we can do in our mind-body conversation is to enter it consciously. And we can do it by recognizing the signals that our body gives our brain. And that's one of the most profound ways. So Daniel Kahneman talks about system 1, meaning the automatic system that is taking in information and then responding. And then system 2 is your prefrontal cortex. So this is where we can consciously enter the mind-body conversation. So in system 1, when the thinking fast and slow, the thinking fast is we respond and we want our body to respond to threat, to danger, to actually, do something automatically that's going to protect ourselves, right? System 2, thinking slow, analyzes the situation to say, is this really a danger to me? Is this really something that I need to attend to? How should I attend to it, etc. So it's this dynamic between the two that's really super powerful. So when we first started, we talked about focus practices. And I wanted to make a distinction here. It's really, really important. When we talk about the mind-body conversation, we're really talking about how we can enter into and be responsible for how our mind and our body is reacting and engaging in the world. And I call this focus practices, and I don't call it meditation for a particular reason. And so I just want to stop for a moment and make that distinction for everyone. So meditation is, to me, my definition, how I define meditation is your natural state. So your being is always in meditation. If you go to think about when a baby is born, when a baby is born, there's an awareness that is present in this baby's eyes. You can see this awareness. That baby isn't able to really differentiate itself from anything else in the world yet, but there is a consciousness, there's a presence. And that's what I'm pointing to. That consciousness, that conscious awareness that is who you are, who we all are, that we all share. That's always here. So you can't do meditation. There's nothing to do. It's actually the not doing, the release of the mind's activity that allows you to rest in yourself, rest in that aspect of yourself that is presence. So when we talk about focus practices, this is like building a muscle in your mind-body relationship so that you can actually move your attention away from all the things that you're focused on or distracted on and in the world, and move yourself back into this conscious aware state that is your presence, your beingness. And one of the first things that we do is we have an intention. like we talked about in the beginning. Why are you here? So you have an intention to become present. You have attention to understand who you are. You have an intention to experience your consciousness. And then there's the power of your attention. So you're moving your attention into this awareness. So the tools that we've used, and then we've already talked about, are the internal focus tool, which is the breathing. When you have an internal focus in your body, you put your focus on your breath, or you put a focus on a chakra, whether it's the heart center or the third eye. You could do a body scan and just really bringing your attention into your body awareness. That's a really, really powerful tool, because as you do this, your physical body actually responds and changes the hormones that it's releasing, et cetera, to support that attention. We also talked about the external laser focus attention, being able to just take all of your attention and focus it on one point. This is an exercising your muscle on an external point. And we've used the yantra, that dot in the middle, as a way to focus our attention. I've suggested using a candle flame. You could use anything, a flower, the center of a flower, something that you put all of your attention on and you focus on with an open-eyed gaze. That's the laser focus. So that's another tool. If you're a visual person, that might be a more powerful way for you to focus your attention. And then the third one that we spoke about was the soft open gaze, where you, so I live by a lake and there's a mountain, and so there's a horizon that I can sit and open my gaze and just open my whole perception. When you go to the beach, when, there's like a way that you can just soften your gaze and just not have your attention rest on any one thing, but you just open it up to the whole field. And in that practice, what you're doing is you're opening your mind to whatever is arising, and you're allowing whatever comes through to come through and noticing it and letting it go. So this soft open gaze is your attention outwardly and inwardly. And it helps you to begin to practice to see that thoughts and feelings and things arise in your awareness field, but who you are is the awareness of that, right? Who you are is that awareness. But it's hard to distinguish unless you have some practices to help you understand that. So that's the soft open gaze. And to help you with that, sometimes you can say to yourself inside, I'm open, I'm curious, and I'm okay with whatever arises. And just notice and let it go. And if you watch your mind wandering, going down a path into a particular thought, you gently bring it back. Very gently with yourself, kindly with yourself. So those are the key practices that we've discussed in the last couple of sessions, and the way we use those in the world, I call the slider of awareness. So my one of my students from like 10 years ago called me the other day, and he wanted to let me know how much the slider of awareness has helped him in his life. And I'm really hoping that this will help you guys. So I really encourage you to practice it. And what I mean by the slider of awareness, for those of you who are new, it's a continuum. When you find yourself out in the world, if you think of a slider, like when you're looking at the different hues of a color, you can do the slider on the computer controls and stuff. You think of a slider, you go from one end to the other. So think of it at one end, it is complete internal focus. So you're bringing all of your attention into your body, into your breathing, into your heart chakra, or whatever your third chakra, whatever where you feel comfortable, but your attention is inward, completely inward. And the other end of the slider is that external laser focus, where your attention is completely focused outward on some object or other person, or out in the external world. So the slider of awareness is where you have your attention in between those two places. And you can, with awareness, with consciousness, choose how much to release. So what I recommend, and why I recommended in the very beginning, why we have a 1 minute of silence where we bring all of our attention inside, then we can release our attention a little bit by keeping some attention on our inner experience, and then releasing a bit to be open to listening to my voice, for example, just releasing a bit. We had that exercise last month about when we broke up into dyads, what are you experiencing right now? Where you were practicing holding your attention inwardly, releasing a bit to listen, to open, but not releasing your attention so much that it's only out there, only on the other, and you've lost your connection with yourself. So the slider of awareness allows you to think of that as think of your awareness, think of your attention as a continuum. And as you practice some of these practices at home and develop them, or anywhere in the world, because it's designed to be a dynamic thing that you can bring your attention, and you can practice any of these things at any moment. Be aware of that slider. Be aware of how you can change how much awareness you are giving to something. And the last point on this slide is holding your own frequency. What am I experiencing right now? That is the point of being able to rest in your own awareness. To not be pulled, your attention isn't pulled by what you see on social media, what you see in the world around you. You are resting here, and you're choosing how your attention is responding to what's happening. You can use your breath. You can choose a focal point, whether it's internal or a soft gaze, etc. And the slider of awareness. And then the final thing, when you want to really check, is to ask yourself, am I grasping for something? Am I feeling like there's something outside that I don't have that I need? Or am I defending myself from something? Am I feeling like, I need to defend myself? That's the tool I use to check, to see if I'm rested in my own frequency. And when I use the term frequency, it's because everything in the world is vibrating. We're all a frequency, vibrating, interacting with each other. But you have your own signature, your very own frequency. And a lot of these practices and what we've been talking about is to help you figure out what is this frequency that's unique to me, when I'm rested in my attention and my awareness. So there's this polarity, this tension between our uniqueness, and each one of us is completely unique. And that's where we experience self-expression and embodiment, inspiration, our autonomy. And that's what I've been speaking about quite a bit, is that unique self-expression, your intention, your purpose. It's so important to be clear about that and to hold your own frequency and feel it and allow it to come through. But there's another side of that coin, and that is this, when we're resting in awareness, we tend to feel this unity consciousness, a transcendence, an interconnectedness, and a mutuality. And both are who we are. That's the paradox of who we are. So by going all the way in this exploration into your own mind-body experience, holding your own frequency into who you are, that's the kind of the mystery of it. By going all the way in, you emerge in this experience of connectedness. So I'm going to pause here, and I would love to, I want to sort of change my settings so I can see everyone. I would love to hear from anyone. If you have the ability to turn your audio on, I would love to hear from anyone who has been practicing some of these things over the last month or so. If you have any questions or feedback, now that I've kind of done the review for everyone, for the new people as well, I'd love to hear what you have to say about. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Does anyone have any questions, any feedback, anything they want to share about their experiences over the last month or so, if they've been using some of these practices?
Yes, Patricia. Norma.
Hola, Norman.
Hi, how are you? Well, I was practicing with what they call the singing bowl from a yoga meditation in Nepal that I bought there. And it was amazing when you sent the video because it reminded me a lot the place where I was and the meditation that we had in that place. And I am using now constantly at home. Thank you so much for that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyone have any questions of what, because I know I went over a lot of stuff. I kind of squeezed in a couple of sessions worth just now as an overview. So does anyone have any questions about what we've talked about just in the last few minutes? Okay, great. So what I'd like to do now is we talked about we just reviewed the mind-body relationship with the parasympathetic and sympathetic and those system 1 and 2 and those systems. Now what I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, and again, I have a resource list that I'll put in the chat, and the books and different places so you can do your own investigation into the depths of these things. I mean, what I'm really doing is curating, what I think are really good sources for this material so that you can have these as a reference point. So what I'd like to do today is talk about the brainwave state and just share a little bit of information about, let me go back here, about the different brainwaves that we have. So neuroscience has really helped us over the last 10 years discover a lot more about how we work. And one of the things that they've been discovering is how different brainwaves reflect different aspects of our attention. And so, for example, right now we're probably beta or maybe possibly in alpha. We're in a focused activity because you're listening to my words. And when you're operating in the world, most of the time you're in beta. That's your focused attention out in the world. Alpha, I call alpha a bridge between beta and theta. Alpha is relaxation. It's when we start to meditate. It's when we start to invite our awareness to withdraw from the distraction and the comparing and the judging and the survival mechanism into our own frequency when we talk about resting in ourselves. Okay, so that's alpha. And then gamma is what they've observed when we're under peak performance. So gamma is a very interesting brainwave state that is kind of a heightened awareness or a heightened attention. And they've been testing the brainwaves of a lot of Buddhist monks, and gamma is quite prevalent in a lot of those in Buddhist monks in those states. And then delta is sleep, but it's deep sleep. It's restorative sleep. It's below dreaming. It's a very, very deep state. What we're going to explore today together is theta. And theta is really your unconscious mind. And theta is sort of that place where past alpha, past relaxation, but into a much deeper part of your mind where you are really kind of exploring, or where sort of, to me, it's sort of the edge of your awareness with the unknown, with the vastness of space, if we think about it, and the vastness of and the depth of our inner space. So what physics has told us is that we're mostly made of space. The electrons are flying around, the nucleus, and everything is in dynamic formation, but it's mostly space. It's an illusion that we're solid. And so this is an invitation into an aspect of ourselves. And part of the reason that I talk about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic and brain waves and all of those things is to help our mind become feeling safe. Remember last month we talked about cultivating the feeling of safety. That's one of the ways we can relax our bodies to be able to open up to the broader experience of our consciousness. So when we talk a little bit about why it's possible to open up to these things, the mind can relax a little bit because there's a little bit of science here that confirms, the physicists have confirmed what wisdom traditions and yogis and people have been practicing and doing for thousands of years. And it sort of gives our mind some way to relax. So that's really the main reason why I talk about these things. So what we're going to do now, I want you all to make sure that you have be in a very comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. Because I want to take you on a journey inside. And this is a journey that drops you through from beta into alpha and then down into theta. And it'll take about a half hour, 30 minutes. Because to really do this, we need to really surrender into our attention. And so this is something that we're going to get started with in a couple minutes. So if you need to go take a short break, get a glass of water or something. You know, do whatever you need to do so you can actually bring all of your attention, all of your awareness into the next 30 minutes. Okay?
That's fine. You.
And yeah, and you might all want to mute yourself. So while some people are doing this, what I'd like to invite everyone else before we get started to consider something. And I actually want to read a couple of things to you. So I love this quote. Martha Graham, who was the dance choreographer, once said, "There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours, clearly, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep yourself open and aware to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open." So I was kind of mind blown when I came across this quote, because to me, she's really speaking to what I refer to as holding your own frequency, that unique vibration that is you, and whatever impulse that comes through that is clear, that is not you know, a triggered response from some psychological experience that you had as a child or as a teenager, but something that's quite essentially you, that pure expression. And I want to invite you into that, and at the same time, invite you into that unknown relationship that you have with all of life. So that's what we're going to address. And every single one of us has had a moment, at least one, if not many, when we have, you know, experienced something transcendent, something that we can't explain or put into words, or you know, my friend Lawrence calls them hot spots. They're just something that just stays with you forever, if you allow it to, right? When you honor that, because some people may just kind of rationalize something away, and try to put it out of their minds because it threatens their idea of themselves. So what we're doing is expanding our idea of ourselves as this interconnected beingness. And so this quote was something that I wrote when I was 15 years old. When I go back in my life and I go back into the experiences of my life, and I would say that the first time I was aware of really this connection to the world, this expansiveness, was around the age of 15 or 14. And it was so vast. It was so infinite. I didn't even know what to do with it. And I started writing. I started just kind of channeling poetry. Every waking moment when I wasn't focused on something else, I was just writing poetry. And one of the things that I remember that has always stayed with me was this line: if the Milky Way was not within me, how could I have seen it or known it? It's just this relationship. So that's what we're talking about now, is cultivating that relationship with yourself. And for the next 30 minutes, we're going to go on a journey inside. So I'm going to stop share because I think, Patricia, you need to share to listen to the music. And I'm also going to stop video. I'm going to invite all of you to put your headphones on, get into a comfortable position. And Drisha, do you want to start the music? We'll make sure that it's the right, we want to make sure it is the right level. So if you need to adjust the sound as it comes through your own headphones and speakers at home, please adjust it so the sound of the music is at a background level while I speak. I think that'll work. Okay. Great. So begin by getting into a comfortable position with your spine straight, your shoulders relaxed, and your head rested. Be sure your arms are rested on your legs in a relaxed way if you're sitting. Trisha, can you turn that down a little bit? Yeah, just a little. Okay, that's good. A little bit down. Okay. So the other thing you can do is lay down on a firm surface. And if you've ever done Shavasana, you can imagine yourself in Shavasana, just completely relaxed with your legs out and your arms to your side. So I think it needs to be a little bit quieter, yeah. So taking a deep breath from your belly, breathing easily and deeply. Breathe in relaxation. Now breathe all the thoughts out of your mind. Again, breathing in from your belly, resting at the top. Slowly exhale, relaxing your jaw, relaxing the back of your tongue. And take a few more breaths, deep breaths, maybe one or two more deep breaths, until you allow yourself to rest into your own subtle breathing. And now from this place of deep relaxation and peace in your mind, create an environment. Imagine or create an environment outdoors. Somewhere pleasant for you. It could be the mountains, the country, the forest, the beach. See it clearly. It could be somewhere that you've been before or a place you've created in your imagination. Walk around it in your mind. Using as many senses as possible, explore the environment carefully. Experience the colors, the shapes, the textures, the sounds, the smell. Notice the time of day, the atmosphere, the angle of the sun. What is the temperature? Feel it all with your mind. Now make any changes that you would like to make in this environment to make it safe and secure for you. Now within this environment, place a house. Don't go inside yet. Just see it from the outside. You are going to go on a journey through this house. So walking up the path to the house, going in through the front door, and passing through an entrance hallway. You find yourself in a room covered with mirrors. There are mirrors all around you, on all of the walls, and you notice your image, your reflection in these mirrors. Now, passing through the room of mirrors, you find yourself in a long hallway. And each of the doors is a different color. You begin to walk down this hallway, passing door after door after door. Until you come to stop in front of a door on your left. And on the door, there may be a label, a symbol, or an image. If so, you see it and understand. When you are ready, you open this door and go into the room that is behind it. Take all the time that you need to explore this room and its contents very thoroughly. While you are in this room, you have the power to make any changes that you want. Take the time now to make any changes you wish to make within this room. In a few minutes, you're going to leave this room. So allow yourself to take the time now to complete anything that you are doing here. You can always return at any time if you would like to spend more time here. And now, when you are ready, leave this room behind and go back out the corridor. Close the door behind you but don't lock it so that you can return if you wish. Continue your way down the hallway again, passing door after door after door. Until you come to stop in front of a door on your right. Again, notice the color of the door and the label or symbol, if there is one. When you are ready, open this door and explore what is behind it. Take as long as you need to very thoroughly explore this space. Now, when you are ready, begin to allow yourself to come to completion with whatever you are doing. Remember that you can always return here if you wish. And now leave this room behind. Go back out into the corridor. Close the door behind you, but don't lock it so that you can return if you wish. In this time, retrace your steps back down the hallway the way you came. Back past the first door you entered. Back into the room of mirrors. Take a moment here to notice any changes in your reflection, in your image. Now walk back through the entrance hallway. Back out the front door. Back into your environment. Making any changes that you want to make within your environment. Find a comfortable place to sit and to meditate. Meditate on what you experienced in the House of Doors and what it might mean to you. When you are ready, find a few keys or landmarks that bring back with you what you experienced. Things that will help you remember, to remind you of where you have been and what you have gained from that experience. These keys may be images, symbols, colors, body sensations, emotions, words, or phrases. Anything that will help you remember your experience. In your own time, when you are ready, begin to allow yourself to find a closure for your meditation. Begin to allow yourself to return. Remembering you can come back to this environment whenever you like. Take some deep breaths now. Move your attention into your body. Stretch beginning with fingers and toes, arms and legs. Maybe lift your arms over your head and stretch your torso. Roll your head around on your shoulders to the left, to the right. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and re-enter the outside space. Remembering the slider of awareness, maintaining this relaxed state and keeping your gaze, your attention within, just release enough attention to get out your journal or notebook and write down everything you can recall about this experience in as much detail as possible. When you write or speak about an experience like this immediately afterwards, it's the best way to bring the contents of your experience from theta up into the beta or conscious mind so that you can retain this consciously. Very much like if you write down a dream right away in the morning, you won't forget it so easily. So reach for your notebook, and I would suggest writing down your keys first, the landmarks or symbols. Then go back and fill in the details later. It's important not to use this time to analyze or interpret the meaning of what you experienced. Just record what happened first. So meditation and experiencing these different brainwave states is a felt experience. When you want to recall this same felt sense, you use these landmarks to re-enter this state of meditation. It's a signal to your body. Rabbi Abraham Heschel once said, "God is not always silent, and man is not always blind. In every man's life, there are moments when there is a lifting of the veil at the horizon of the known, opening a sight of the eternal. But such experiences are rare events. To some people, they're like shooting stars, passing and unremembered. In others, they kindle a light that is never quenched. The remembrance of that experience and the loyalty to the response of that moment are the forces that sustain our faith. And in this sense, faith is faithfulness, loyalty to an event, and loyalty to our response. We are infinite beings. We are exquisitely unique. Cultivate this relationship with the unknown. In the aspect of who you are that is eternal. Thank you all for your attention. I so appreciate the opportunity and the gift of being here with you. Blessings to everyone.